Ambassador. That sounds important. We of course know that an ambassador is a person who represents and promotes someone or even something. But most of us probably don't know anyone who actually holds the ambassador title. When you think about it though, isn't ambassador the perfect title for the life Christ calls us to? I mean, his last command to us was to go and make disciples of all the nations. In that moment, it's as though he commissioned us as his ambassadors to well, the whole world. That sounds important. At Stand to Reason, we believe that we are all called to be ambassadors for Christ, and that because it is so important, we could all probably use some training to make sure that we're the most effective ambassadors that we can be. That's why we created what we call the ambassador model. Sounds fancy, right? It's just our way of saying that we want to be intentional in the way we train Christians. We want to train them to be effective ambassadors. So what does an effective ambassador look like? Well, I'm glad you asked. We believe that there are 3 essential skills that an effective ambassador must have. Skill number 1 is knowledge. Simply put, ambassadors need to know what they're talking about. If we're going to be out there representing Christ, then we should be pretty well acquainted with his character, his mind, and his purposes. We can't represent him well if we don't know him well. The second essential skill for an effective ambassador is wisdom. Knowledge is important, but if we don't have the wisdom to know when, where, and how to most effectively use that knowledge, it won't get us very far. This is the skill that really determines whether or not an ambassador will be an effective diplomat or a voice that simply adds to the noise of the world. I think Paul called it a resounding gong or clanging cymbal. That guy had a way with words. The third and final skill we've identified for the ambassador model is character. Knowledge and wisdom are more about talking the talk, but effective ambassadors have got to be able to walk the walk. In other words, if an ambassador isn't living by the very words coming out of his or her mouth, the message could be ignored, or worse, damaged. These 3 skills, knowledge, wisdom, and character, are the foundations we've built our ambassador model of training on because they're the skills that we all need to continually grow in. Sometimes, the task of being an effective ambassador for Christ can be overwhelming, but by breaking it down into these 3 skills, we've simplified it a bit for you. We believe that every Christian should be able to confidently say, I am an ambassador for Jesus Christ. I can explain precisely what that means, and I can clearly defend my conviction in the truth of Christianity in an attractive manner that commends the message. With a foundation of knowledge, wisdom, and character, we can have the confidence to do just that, and to actually be effective ambassadors for Christ. So yeah, ambassador does sound important, and that's exactly why we chose it.